The Geekery Review is brought to you by Fire Within. They offer the best wood-fire mobile pizza ovens in the market. Fire Within helps entrepreneurs to professional chefs enhance their culinary work by providing freedom, mobility, and a community of support. Fire Within can help you start your own culinary company or get your current restaurant mobile. To learn more, visit firewithin.com.
I'm Bill Rogers, and you're watching the Geekery Review, where we show off the best geek products, then give them away on social media. Each week we'll showcase all sorts of geek products from a variety of geek companies.
I am Groot.
The mug of the day is this Groot mug from Vandor Products. Vandor makes high-quality, detailed mugs and other great home goods. They represent lots of great licenses that make perfect gifts for anyone. This large Groot sculpted ceramic mug looks like everyone's favorite wooden superhero. Groot is sporting a nice smile and even is designed with his iconic tall wooden forehead. This Groot mug is perfect for anyone who loves Guardians of the Galaxy and can be found on Vandor's Amazon page. On today's episode of the Geekery Review, we have a great company to show you. We traveled down to the Cartoon Art Museum in San Francisco to talk with professional prop maker Alan Levine. While we were there, we got a tour of the Avengers Infinity War exhibit and saw some amazing props and costumes.
Precision Gadget Repair does all of the repairs in the back room for our consoles, our iPhones, and iPads. If you've got one that you dug out of the closet and doesn't fire up properly, we always encourage you to bring it in. We do repairs on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, really everything up to PS4 HDMI ports, Xbox One's not reading games. We really do it all. We do everything from power port replacements to lasers, drive realignments, hard drive replacements, really anything that can go wrong. I recommend bringing it in here. Let us take a look, we'll appraise it, and we'll get you a fair number for it.
Hey guys, I am here at the Golden Gate City of San Francisco, California, here to check out the Cartoon Art Museum. And we're going to check out Alan Levine. He's the guy who's created all of these awesome pieces because they have a showcase of the Avengers Infinity War exhibit. We're going to go check it out. Let's go take a look. Hey Nina.
Hey Bill.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. I'm so psyched to be here at the Cartoon Art Museum. You guys been open very long?
We've been open since just before last Halloween, so that's Halloween 2017.
Oh, really? So do you guys do just comic books, or do you do comic artists, or what kind of things do you guys cover here at the museum?
So it's interesting, a lot of people are curious about why we say we're the Cartoon Art Museum as opposed to the Comic Art Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And it is because we cover all the cartooning art. So we're talking about illustration, everything from children's books to magazines. We do comics, everything from newspaper strips to satire to the traditional, tights and capes superhero stuff to memoir and all the different genres, including manga and anime. And then we also do animation, so that's your traditional hand-drawn, 3D, stop motion, so it covers this huge gamut of basically visual storytelling is kind of a way to put it.
That's cool, and you guys have guests that come in and speak, like different artists and things like that?
Yeah, this year alone we've had Raina Telgemeier, who's another one of our opening exhibitions. She's a New York Times bestselling author for children's graphic novels with Scholastic. And then we've had the Aardman Studio, which just released Early Man earlier, and they've also done Wallace and Gromit and Curse of the Were-Rabbit and a couple of other films you're probably familiar with for stop motion. I think the first couple of months we were open, I didn't realize, but we had Lisa Franken here, so
wow.
If you want flashbacks, then so you never know who's going to drop by, and that's really fun.
Well, like you said, you have more things than just showing off awesome cartoon stuff and comic book stuff. You said you actually offer some classics. Can you show me kind of where some of that takes place and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll show you some of the supplies that we have on hand here, because that's a new thing that we're doing at the museum. At our new location, something that we've added is this opportunity to see the artwork in the gallery and then come out here and pick up some art supplies so you can get started on your way home. We find that a lot of people get inspired by what they see in the galleries to want to create themselves, or even just like to try their hand at it. We've actually got some activity tables, and we've got a reading room in our gallery, so that's a really fun place for people to kind of sit with comics a little longer and either really dive into the stories or really dive into creating them themselves. And then we have our education programming, so we've got workshops and classes and summer camp, and it's really fun. And then you can also, as a school or a business, you can request for us to bring classes to you, or you can hold classes in our space that are specific to your group. It's great for birthday parties and just like having fun with your friends, or learning communication skills. So we really try and show everybody this like multi-use ability to learn and communicate with comics through all that education programming.
Before we get into the Marvel exhibit, can you show us some of the other pieces you guys have on the cartoon art side and take a look at those?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Wander over here.
Sorry.
So Nina, this room is just one example of like the many things that you guys get in. What do we have in this room, and then what's going to be replacing this area in the future?
So in this room in particular, we have a really awesome and powerful exhibition. There's a trilogy called March, and it's actually being used in a lot of schools everywhere from universities all the way as young as 4th grade here for the San Francisco Unified School District.
You're showing us geeks that we can also have not only have fun, but we can also learn some things. And this is just an example of one of the exhibits you said. You told me that it's going to be changing all the time. So if I'm a geek and I want to come see some cool comic artwork or just artwork in general, things are going to be switching up. So if I come here 6 months from now, it's going to be a different experience. Is that right?
Yeah, so we change out exhibits every 3 to 4 months because there's so much to cover. I kind of mentioned before, like we do everything from all the different types of illustration to all the different types of like comic strips and comic books to the various different ways that you can animate. And so we constantly need to kind of trade out what's on exhibit so that we can really give you a full idea of what the cartooning arts hold. So every time you come here, there's going to be something new, something exciting. We always try to pair two very different exhibits together so that way you come for one exhibit that really is like your personal interest, and then you end up discovering something really cool that you might have never thought about exploring. So That's kind of our take on how we plan our exhibitions. That
is so amazing. Nina, thank you for showing me around.
Absolutely.
We're going to go check out the Avengers exhibit right now. We're going to talk to Alan, right? He's here.
Yeah, Alan is great. He's been awesome. He's been a longtime partner of the museum, and we've always appreciated his amazing work, and we're really excited to give this opportunity to celebrate kind of the history and background of the Infinity War stuff that everybody's talking about.
Everybody's excited about.
So go hang out with Alan for a while, and I'm sure he's got some really cool stuff to tell. He's always got great stories.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Nina.
Awesome. Thank you.
Alan.
Hey, Bill.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good to finally meet you.
Oh, it's a pleasure meeting you.
We've
Thanks
had
for
you
coming out
on the show before. It's nice to meet the man, meet the legend, and see the hands that create all these cool things.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for coming out here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
So I want to learn more about you. We've kind of learned about you on the show before, but I want to learn about some of your stories, what you do. I've heard some of your stories. You have great stories, but I want to learn about your career and how you got into this. And then let's go around and talk about each piece and kind of showcase each one.
Actually, enjoyed science fiction and fantasy films since I was a little kid. Some of my early favorites were The Day the Earth Stood Still and Jason and the Argonauts. And I really got interested in that, and then I saw a copy of, I think it was either the third or fourth copy of Famous Monsters of Filmland, and I was hooked from that point. In the city I grew up in, Tucson, Arizona, there was a local kind of Elvira show where they'd show horror movies and the old Frankenstein and werewolf movies. It was called Dr. Scar's 9 O'Clock Chiller. And the guy who played Dr. Scar, he was really good. It wasn't a comedy like you see with Elvira. It was very dark comedy. And this guy was as good as Boris Karloff or any of the real scary old motion picture actors. And everyone knew him. He was very famous, but no one knew who he was. They would always have a question mark at the end of the show, Dr. Scar played by, and they'd have a question mark. And so no one knew. So one day I was now in high school. They had a open house for Dr. Scar on Halloween. And I had already started sculpting and making masks and things at this time. So I thought, well, this is my chance. I'm going to go to K-Gun TV. This is in Tucson, Arizona. It's the ABC affiliate. And I'm going to meet Dr. Scar. I'm going to show him these great pictures. And he's going to want me, going to hire me right away to, work. And this is going to be my rocket to the stars. Yeah. So went there, and there was like about 100 other people there for the live shoot. And Dr. Scar came in, and he always came to the studio in costume, in makeup, and it was very hush-hush on the studio. No one supposedly knew who he was. And so I go like, how am I gonna meet this guy? I mean, they're shooting the show, I'm watching intently, as they're shooting this. And at the end, they brought out some cake and some punch, and everyone's talking. So I had my little portfolio under my arm and forced my way through the crowd to, Dr. Scar, I've watched you since I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm really into this, and I'm showing some pictures and stuff. And he's looking at me like, with this horror makeup on, and really, I'm just in my own world showing him all the pictures and stuff. And he says, Alan, you don't have to show me anything else. And I go, how does he know my name? He says, you were always a good scout. And I go like, who are you? He was my old scoutmaster, Jack Jacobson, who was also the executive producer for K-Gun TV.
Oh, wow.
And
didn't recognize him in the makeup.
Oh, no, there's no way. If you saw a picture of him and a picture of him, in makeup, no one would know in a million years who he really was. And so he says, yeah, if, you got some nice stuff here, you can bring it by, maybe we can use some of it and stuff. So I kind of called myself an apprentice. And that was my first, real job at a real television studio doing something. It was just interning, but I learned the ropes, and from there I went to KZAZ television, channel 11. Wow. That was a new television station, independent station that was opening up. I got my first movie that I did, and it was an off-the-cuff thing. I used to frequent this hobby shop, Tucson Train and Hobby, which was been there for years and years. 3 brothers ran it. And at the time I was building scale models. It was the height of the space program. I was building scale models of rocket gantries and stuff. And these were large, 3, 4, 5 feet tall gantries, all out of balsa wood, very intricate. And so one of the brothers that owned the shop says, hey, he says, we got a guy who called us. They want someone to build a suspension bridge that trains go across. And that's why they called Tucson Train and Hobby, because they thought they could get a kid or something. And they said, no, but we might be able to find someone who could build you one. So would you like to do this? We'll give you the guy's phone number. Well, I had no idea who, I thought it was for some guy who was building a large train set and needed a bridge. So I called him up, and he says, yeah, he says, we're filming a movie at Old Tucson, and we need a quarter scale suspension bridge thing for the scene. We're making a miniature of Ajo, the city of Ajo, which is a small town in Arizona, and we need the suspension bridge. And I said, oh, great. My eyes were like this big. I'm gonna get
to do a movie.
Yeah, this is a movie now. It's a big time.
You were like a senior in high school?
Yeah, I think I was 16, 17 years old at the time. So I go like, this is great. So I built the suspension bridge at that time. There was no internet. There was nothing. You know, they sent me some black and white pictures.
You had
of
to
this
actually
bridge
do
and
some
all.
research
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, you had to do some research. And not a lot of pictures of suspension bridges in the state of Arizona. I mean, it's just not something that's very attractive. But they had, somebody went out and took pictures of it, sent me the pictures, and I built the bridge and took it out to Old Tucson, which is a famous movie location there.
Yeah.
A lot of John Wayne movies, Clint Eastwood. In fact, when we were doing that movie, they were also filming the life and times of Judge Roy Bean, which kind of dates me. But they were doing that at the same time we were filming movie. The movie I was working on was called Night of the Lepus, which means rabbits in Latin. With Stuart Whitman and Janet Leigh, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. DeForest Kelley was also in the film, Bones from Star Trek. He had a role in the film. The film was about giant radioactive rabbits that are attacking the city and cannibalizing people. So the climactic scene is the rabbits coming across the bridge. They lure them across the bridge, and the bridge is electrified and gets rid of the rabbits. It was, you know, hanging around the set with my bridge.
So your scene was in the climactic scene, your bridge, rather.
Yeah, it was a climactic scene, and getting the rabbits to stay on the bridge was...
Rabbits are easy to control, right?
Yeah. They had one rabbit wrangler, you know, and rabbits aren't like cats or dogs or, you know, they're not domesticated. Yeah, there's no such thing really as a domestic rabbit. And so they had a hard time getting them to go on the bridge and getting them to stay on the bridge once they got on the bridge. They wanted to jump off into the surrounding, you know, set. This was shot outside on the back lot of Old Tucson. It was fun. That was my first film, and you know, I've been doing stuff ever since.
So Alan, from radioactive rabbits to radioactive spiders, you're dealing with Marvel and Sony and all these different studios. That's just like a sprinkle on what you have done. Can we go take a look at some of these other pieces you've done?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Let's go take a look at this one first. Alan, we're here at the first one, which is the Black Panther helmet, and this thing is just amazing. I can see why you put it under glass, because you immediately want to touch it. This thing is awesome. How did you start from finish? How did you build this thing?
Well, the last couple of years, we've been going towards 3D printing. My education was machine engineering and drafting and stuff. I had intended to go into aerospace engineering. That was, my parents worked at Hughes Aircraft. I was always interested in the, you know, NASA and the space race and all that. And they worked on the LEM and all these different things back in the 60s. And so I thought that was going to be my career path. So I had a lot of experience drafting, won several awards in school and stuff. So when 3D printing came online, I thought, this is a natural. This is something that I understand, easy to do, and I really saw it as a wave of the future. So this last couple of years, been doing files. I actually did this file before the film, based on screen captures that we had on early publicity.
Oh, wow.
And on each of these displays, try and put, you know, what we do, how it's done, step by step, to come out with this. If we were going to make a lot for a movie like Black Panther, you've got to have like 24 of these. You can't just have one. After 3D printing it, then a cast is made, and then you just make them with the silicone mold. But this is what I call a one-off. This is the original 3D print.
Oh, wow.
I have wire mesh in the things. We'll be bringing the entire suit in here on this exhibit, which is going to go through October. We'll be adding to the exhibit every couple week.
So this one's 3D printed, and the silver parts, did you have to go through and paint those as well? Or?
Yes, you know, a lot of people ask about the metallizing, and is that, you know, some type of plating? It is just paint. It's just paint.
So with the 3D printing, you can put in all sorts of filaments, plastic, metal. Did you guys use a vibranium filament for that one?
No, you know, it's so hard to melt it.
That's true. It's hard to get a hold of that.
Yeah, and it clogs up the printer. So we did do that. A lot of advantages to 3D printing, particularly on a complex sculpture like this, where you have all the glyphs. Now, back in the day, I would have had to hand sculpt all these, and there's tricks to doing that. You make templates and actually use dental tools to make it, or you might make impressions, find some screen or a piece of jewelry or some braiding and make impressions, or actually cast pieces that you apply, and that's how we would have constructed back in the day. But now with 3D printing, you can create an effect on one side, transfer it to the other side, and you don't have to sculpt it, and it's perfect.
That's cool.
It's
very precise.
It's very precise, and you can repeat a pattern again and again and again. You can also create different textures.
Oh, yeah.
Here you have on the ears, this is a gloss black, and then we have the satin black areas over the eyes and around the back of the head here. And that's good for the lighting. If, like Darth Vader, the whole black costume would have been very difficult to shoot, but there's contrast to it. It has, part of it is black, but part of it is gray. People don't realize that when they look at the movie. It looks all black to them.
Oh, yeah.
But it has some darker grays, has different textures, and that allows you to film it without it looking like a shadow moving across the screen. And we did the same thing with the Black Panther. Now, the new movie, the costume changed significantly from Civil War. Much more simple costume, very similar to the costumes used in the DC universe for Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. It is what we refer to as a 3D print. It's not in a 3D printing machine. It's screen printed just like you would a sublimation print, but it's a silicone paint that rises, and so you can make it in a relief, and that's how
cool.
those textures are made. And that's in the second filming. The first Civil War Black Panther, it had black suede gloves and separate boots. The new suit is just one unitard, basically, with this 3D printing. The gloves are an integral part of the suit itself. There's no separate gloves. So when he gets in it, just gets in the entire
one
thing.
piece, one
puts the helmet on, he's ready to go. It's much easier than Civil War I, where there's all these pieces you got to put on. So.
Now, speaking of putting on, is this piece a wearable piece, or it is a wearable piece?
Yeah, this breaks apart, and you can, put it on your head, and it's got like use a bicycle helmet rubber inlay there that basically we just get online and stick it in there, peel and stick, and it fits very nice. A lot of these helmet type masks, like Iron Man's a good example, they don't fit everybody.
Nobody's got the same size head, really.
It's not just the size of the head, it's the shape of the head. People will go like, well, we got an actor that he's got a 24-inch circumference head or 25-inch circumference head. That's not all there is to it.
That's one piece of the formula.
That's one piece. We found that the smaller the circumference, generally the more elongated the skull is. And the larger the circumference, the person's skull is usually more round. And so you can have someone with a 25-inch head, is very round, but it's not long, and they can get into like the Iron Man, where someone with a smaller circumference, 24-inch, has a very elongated skull, they can't get into it. So those all have to be taken into consideration. And also with circumferences, people don't understand. They'll look at a circumference and they'll go like, okay, my head is 24, so I need a 24-inch, helmet, like a Captain America helmet. I need no, because you try and put that thing on, it'll be like a bottle cap trying to get it off. For circumference, unlike a linear measurement, every inch is actually 4 times what it would be for a linear measurement. So it's just like someone's bicep. You got a 24-inch bicep. If you go up to 24 and a half, well, but that's only a quarter of an inch on all surfaces. So it's not that big a difference. It's the same with circumferences on head. The difference between a 24-inch head and a 25-inch head is only a quarter of an inch difference. But you have to calculate that, particularly a helmet like this. It has a very thin liner, and it's not made to really take off. Once you get on the actor, like Iron Man, it's going to stay on there.
Yeah.
But with Captain America, you got to take it on and off. And in working in for First Avenger, we made that first one out of urethane, so it would stretch and go on the head, fit tight. That's figured how we did. Then when we did the next one, Winter Soldier, go like, look, we got to do this like a real helmet. And you need some back to front movement so the actor can take the head off without taking off his eyebrows too. So it's the exterior circumference on that. You need a 36-inch exterior circumference to fit a 24.5-inch interior head, because you got the leather liner in there and the strapping and everything. Every inch is actually 4 times what it would be in reverse. So those are all things you have to take into consideration when you're doing it professionally.
So a lot goes into this. I'm not just, okay, I'm gonna sculpt this in a 3D program and then 3D print it, but you gotta figure out what kind of head shape, who's it's gonna fit, how's it's gonna fit together seamlessly. I can see a seam, but it doesn't look like it.
It's right here.
Open.
It comes right off here.
Pops open right there.
Right there. On the file, I can take this and it has accesses, different axes. Like if this was a globe and you had rods coming through different directions, I can take and turn this on the screen. I can stretch it this way, I can stretch it that way, I can stretch it out. I go in and put in the y-axis or the whatever axis, and I can stretch it in that direction. What I use, if I was going to make, you were going to be the next Chad Brunswick,
well,
Black Panther. Of
I
course,
do have a 24-inch
You might
bicep,
be a stand-in. I would take calibers, measure your head from different angles, and then put that into the file and shape it to where it got your head. A lot of companies are going to 3D printing. You got a lot of independent people going to 3D printing. There's a lot of advantages to it. But there are not a lot of large format 3D printers.
Oh yeah.
It's like back in the 60s and 70s, there were only 2 optical printers in the country to optically print for editing purposes film.
Oh yeah.
So you had 2. They were both made by Hughes Aircraft, and one was in Los Angeles and one was in New York on the East Coast. So if you needed an optical printer for editing your film, you had to stand in line. Well, the same with large format 3D printers. This doesn't look really large, but we're doing the Mark 50 Iron Man suit, where you have very large pieces. Well, you need a 3D printer that's huge.
Yeah.
And they don't just print one thing. If you've got a big hopper like that, you're going to print a bunch of stuff within your piece.
Wow.
And then they separate it all out. But still, you got to stay in line. And there's sometimes like the Iron Man, we've done a Mark III that took like 6 weeks to do.
Oh, wow.
From scratch, making patterns, casting pieces. We might wait 3-4 months to get the same thing printed.
Oh, wow.
After we make the files. So I made the files for the Mark 50 I finished them up in January, middle of January, and we're still waiting to get the first piece of print.
Oh, wow.
So there are some advantages. Those pieces are going to come out very nice, very pristine, and we don't have the expense of having to make molds for it, but we got to stand in line.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So
you dabble in different mediums, and this piece alone, this Black Panther piece, is just so beautiful. It's just, you look around and you can just stare at it for a long time, and that's with all of your pieces. I want to take a look at the next one. Next one, you want to do the Infinity Glove?
Yeah, let's
do that one.
Game Changers is a store owned and run by geeks. We have some of the best collections in Utah, either working for us or shopping with us. We carry everything from old Atari, occasionally a little older than that, up through Xbox One, PS4, and then everything in between. We buy, sell, and trade, and we give better trade values than I think most places in town. I recommend bringing it in here, let us take a look, we'll appraise it, and we'll get you a fair number for it. Really, if it's video game related, we'll take it and we'll sell it. If you've got an opinion about a game, guarantee we do too.
Alan, Avengers Infinity War exhibit wouldn't be complete without the Thanos Glove, and this thing is huge. It's about, a couple feet tall, would you say?
33 inches.
33 inches.
Yeah.
This thing is amazing. What's it?
Big boy.
Is this made out of the designer resin?
Yes. This is designer resin. Again, originally, the original piece was 3D printed. And again, we illustrate that on here, how we did it. Actually, the stones in here, these are all sculpted stones.
Oh, wow.
They were sculpted, and then I cast them in silicone and then reproduce them in clear resins. But 26 files to create this, because these are all different pieces and stuff. This is all screwed together. We rolled this out the day before the premiere, because it's Infinity War, you gotta have the glove. The gold on it, it's a special gold again. Mix this ourselves. It's a lacquer base. You use a clear lacquer, and then a Inca gold is what it's called. Mix that in there. Start with a black primer that goes through 220, 400, then 600 sandpaper. Then we start going over it with steel wools. And then we put a layer of paint, steel wool that, finer layer, steel wool it again,
wow,
until you get a nice metallic finish. Now on screen, you film this, it just really pops. And this is set up to be electronic too. We don't have it wired right now, but all these blink and glow and stuff. So that's another part of it. Now, I know there's fans out there going to be looking at this and go like, you don't have the soul stone, it's the blue stone. I do have the yellow soul stone to go in here, but I didn't like it. It's too much gold on a gold glove. So I went with the blue stone, just aesthetics.
Just aesthetics.
Yeah, and from an art standpoint, it's about the aesthetics. I like the blue. I'm sticking the blue stone in there.
Hey.
And but I may swap the soul stone, because so many people have said, "Oh, you're still swap the soul stone."
Well, I heard the soul stone's kind of hard to get too.
It is.
Well, this is just an amazing job at making this look like Thanos is going to come any second now and strap this on his head.
Yeah, we wanted it. One of the ideas in doing this exhibit and some of the other hero exhibits that I've done over the last few years, people want to connect with the heroes. This is an ancient thing. A lot of people now, they're looking at all the superhero movies and stuff and the action figures and all the things that are out there. And they this is so new and such. No. Even back, ancient Rome, their pantheon of heroes, Achilles, Hercules, Perseus, these were the action figures of the ancient Greeks and Romans. And they actually did have action figures. You'd go to the market square, you could buy a little Hercules statue or Achilles statue. They had the different legions would pick a hero. They have, the Romans had the Legion of Hercules. And so those were the original heroes. Now today we have this whole new mythology. We have the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe, and these are the heroes that have replaced Hercules and Achilles and Perseus. And we have these new stories. They're just like the old myths. They tell us something about the human condition, about man and his aspirations, and it does influence people. It influenced me as a kid. I grew up watching Batman, the Lone Ranger, and Zorro, and these were little morality plays. And you'd watch those and you go, hey, I want to be the good guy.
Yeah.
I want to be the Lone Ranger. I want to be Zorro. Here today, everyone's talking about social justice. Zorro was definitely a social justice, warrior. He's taken from the rich and given to the poor, kind of thing. These are the new heroes, and it's teaching a whole new generation about how to aspire to be their best. And it's people say, well, we don't talk about morality or anything in schools anymore. All these movies, they're talking about a morality, what's good, what's wrong. Some people are critical, oh, we know the good guys will always win. That's the idea. It's telling a story. It's telling about where are our strengths, where are our weaknesses, talking about don't give up, stick in there, it talks about self-doubt, it is really replaced these old stories that people used to read ages ago. So Infinity Wars, you've got all these different heroes, different situations in their lives, and they're telling everybody a story that they can aspire to.
Yeah,
So.
and people really want to connect. They want to say, okay, this guy's a good guy. Throw him into a difficult situation. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he makes the choice that's going to either be selfish or help everybody out. And people love heroes because at the end of the day, they're the ones that save the day. They're the ones that are really putting themselves on the line to save everybody else. So I think you're right. I think people look up to heroes in all ages because they want to aspire to be good and help others too.
Yeah, they look at the screen and they ask themselves, what would I do if I was Tony Stark?
Yeah.
So many more people want to be Batman. You would think if you had a choice between Batman and Superman, Superman, he can bench press the sun. But they want to be Batman because Batman is so much closer to, he's just mortal.
Yeah.
He's something that anybody could aspire to and become. He's trained and come up with these inventions, but he's just a regular human being, and he's hugely popular. If you would have asked me back in the 60s or 70s, would we ever see the popularity that we're seeing on this now? I couldn't have even imagined it.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't imagine.
And like you said, this is kind of what everything's focused around with this exhibit. This is just one of the pieces. Let's go take a look at the Thor Hammer and see what that's all about.
Sure.
Now, Alan, in front of us here we have Thor's hammer, and you were just telling me, I asked you what this is made out of. Again, what's this made out of?
Well, a lot of people look at it and they even touch it and they say, well, what kind of metal is that? No, it's not from the core of a neutron star. This is just, again, simply painted resin, but it's filled with cement, which gives it its heavy weight. Again, this is just a painting technique. Metallic paints have come a long, long way. Again, this is a black primer, sanding, steel wool sanding, then the paint goes on, and you can get very good polished metallic effects. Now, this is from the Avengers Thor, as opposed to the original Thor movie, where they had a different handle, which everybody agreed wasn't fancy enough for Thor. Then with the third outing in Dark World, another change, there was some Celtic engraving done at this upper part of the hammer. But that's the only change that's been done since then. Everyone figured, okay, now we've got Thor's hammer.
Wow.
But this is the second incarnation of it. The mallet itself has never changed. The inscription, everything has always been the same. This has not changed at all. It's the same cast. But it's, people, again, they love this as an iconic prop, and everybody wants to see Thor's hammer. And we've displayed it in a number of exhibits, but we had to have it here in the Pantheon of Heroes.
So being filled with cement, you really do have to be worthy to be able to lift this thing.
It is heavy. People are surprised when they looked at it. It is heavy. That was an important part of creating this prop. Back in the 60s and 70s, for television, props are basically wood, made out of wood or vacuum form. Those were the two choices. And things like the Green Hornet stun gun, that was literally a wood carving.
Oh wow.
The gentleman who did that, he literally made half a dozen of those overnight, whittled them, and sanded them down out of birch wood. And they were painted green. Looked very crude in person, but looked great on TV. You can't get away with that today. The props not only have to look good, but the actors to get in character and to actually emote and get into, they have to feel it. And so if you give them a little styrofoam prop or a wooden prop,
they're not going to get in character.
They're
as
not going to
easy.
get in character. So you got to give it a little bit of weight. And so that's why this is heavy. And people are often surprised when they pick it up.
Now this is just, like you said, from the earlier Thor movies. We're not going to do any spoilers here, but you're going to have to see the new Avengers movie if you want to see what Thor wields later on. This is an amazing piece. Let's go take a look at maybe some Guardian of the Galaxy pieces.
Sure.
And go from there.
Great.
Okay, Alan, the Avengers, the storyline wouldn't be complete with Starlord. And tell me what you got here and what you've done with the Starlord over here.
Well, this is Chris Pratt's first suit from the original Guardians of the Galaxy. He actually had several costume changes during the suit. I think there was like 6 different costume changes during it, but this was the one he wore the most with his traditional leather jacket. It's actually leather and cotton twill on here. This is what people are used to seeing. When they think of Star-Lord, this is the Chris Pratt outfit they like to see, and with the iconic helmet. And we tried to get the coat just as close and as accurate as possible, with all the details right down to the rivets, using everything just exactly the same. And it's just one of the characters that's really brought a lot to this new movie in Infinity Wars, and really brought a lot to the Marvel Universe. A very fresh cast and a very different look for Marvel. And in the first film, they want a more sci-fi look, a more outer space look. But by the second Guardians of the Galaxy, they changed that. And the director wanted a more rock star look. Oh. And if we look at Chris's, this is his outfit from the second, it's kind of casual wear. The director says, hey, I want something that's more rock star like, t-shirts with logos and stuff. And a lot of people ask, well, what does that logo actually say? Well, they actually took language from the first film and use the alphabet. It actually just says gear shift is all it says on there. But this is a much more casual, lived-in kind of outer space look that they wanted to get for that second look. More form-fitting clothes. They want more tight-fitting outfits. And the pants have a Western flair to it, kind of chaps with leather here on the inside and down there. And then the spat-like shoes, but it really has that wagon train to the stars, as Gene used to say, look to it. So you get that kind of gunfighter impression when you look at him in this suit.
Now, again, you've created. Did you guys do the weapons as well as the buckles?
Oh yeah, every piece on here. Every piece on here.
So down from. Like you said,
except for the shoes themselves.
For the shoes,
yeah. Those are Skechers shoes, which are the exact same Skechers shoes they used for the film.
Oh, he wore Skechers.
Yeah.
Well, if you want an accurate Star-Lord costume, you got to get Skechers. So all these pieces, leather. So you guys don't just dabble in, designer resin or metals or 3D printing, but leathers and cloth and stuff.
Actually, how it evolved. When I first started working in television and film, my only interest was making special effects, doing prosthesis, making 20-year-old look 100 years old, making a monster. That was the thrust. Sculpting, make a mold, make a rubber prosthesis, glue it on face. What I quickly found is, now we need a costume to go with it. And then once you got the costume, well, now we need a ray gun. We need a prop to go with the costume and the makeup. And so, particularly early on, the more you could do, the more valuable you were. Whether it was, working with glass eyes, mold making, sewing, prop making. If you could do it all, you were one stop.
If you're more of a generalist than a specialist, you dabbled into different areas.
Today is much different. Today it is more specialized. You'll have someone a company that's all they do is 3D printing, or a company that's all they do is just tailoring. But back in the day, you had to do everything. I had an old Tempest station wagon, beat up old station wagon, that I kept all my stuff that I needed to make molds and do makeup and stuff on set. So I drive out to Old Tucson or wherever the shooting location was, had everything in my station wagon. I worked at New World Pictures in Venice for a while, and I was driving from Southern California, basically, down in the San Clemente area, all the way to Venice Beach, where New World Pictures was. I'd leave at 5 in the morning, and I'd been working all night to make different prostheses, but I had everything in my station wagon that if I had to do something on set, I had it there. I could do it right there on set. I could make whatever I needed to make, and it made you more valuable. And so today, people contact us and go like, hey, can you make me a this or make me a that, or we need this or we need that. And if you can do it and someone else can, you're in. I never like to say can't do a thing. I learned, it goes back to when I first met Stan Lee. This is back when I was doing more makeup and stuff. Back then, again, no internet. There was no online sales. Everything was sold either from the back of a comic book or a magazine.
Oh, wow.
So this was the late 70s. Marvel had Spider-Man TV series. Bill Bixby with the Hulk was big, and they were doing some spin-offs. And I said, gee, you know what? How about let's do some masks of some of the main heroes, a Doctor Doom thing, Hulk, and Iron Man. So I said, we'll do this, we'll sell them in Marvel Comics in the back, because that's what you do, you open the comic book and half of it was ads.
You finish it and you're like, oh, I want to get this.
Yeah, I want to get this. And so I did 2 of the 4 they were going to do, and I sent a Stanley, and this is back in snail mail stuff. I sent him a copy of the Doctor Doom. He sent me back a letter, which I still have. I have it framed in my office. And, I love it. Yeah, let's do this. I'm hiding it from so-and-so, so he doesn't, get it. And great. So we started making those. And then he called me one day. He says, ow. He says, can you make me a Hulk costume? Like if I could get you like a wrestler guy to put it, could you make like a Hulk? Now this was in the late 70s.
Yeah.
We didn't have urethanes. There was some foam latex at the time, but I just couldn't come up with a way to make something, because in my mind, I needed something that was going to look believable. Something that would look like Lou Ferrigno on TV. And I said, I'd love to do it, but I can't even think of a way how we would do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks anyway. So he had another guy do it, and it turned out to be like a big Muppet looking thing. But I regretted not jumping into it, not taking that opportunity to do that. I never made that mistake again. People don't realize this, but motion picture and film industry are approached all the time for weird things. Got approached, got a call from a subcontractor. Said, hey, I'm gonna send a couple guys over to your office. They've got a special project, and I told them you can make anything. And I said, okay, what do they want? They'll tell you when they get there. So they came in, 2 guys in suits. This is what we need. We got these Humvees in Iraq, and we need some type of armor to prevent them from getting blown up because of these IEDs. What?
Is this a film or is this real life?
Yeah, that's what I go like, what, is this for like a movie? No. We need something for these Humvees. I said, well, who sent you here? Oh, Sammy sent me here. He said, you can make anything. I said, well, we haven't done any ballistic armor for real, but how about this? How about if we made like a bulletproof vest that we could fit around the Humvees, and we could put it on them and see how that goes and do something like that. Would you be interested in that? I said, we can put some plans together and see. Great. When can you get it to us? So I said, well, when do you need it? 48 hours. 48 hours. I said, you do know we don't have like a Humvee here. Where's your studio? I said, it's in the East Bay, it's in Concord. When will you be back? I'll be getting in there maybe 6 tonight. We'll have someone meet you there. I said, oh, okay. So I get to the studio, there's a military guy, full uniform with a huge crate.
Whoa.
And I just go like, yeah. He says, are you Al Levine? I go, yeah. He says, this is delivery for you. I said, what is it? He says, it's the door of a Humvee. We want you to start here and make the patterns. I said, okay.
Wow.
So I'm uncrating this, Humvee door. My daughter, she was, I think about 12 or 13 at the time. And I picked her up from school and went by the studio, and she said, what are you doing? Oh, Daddy's doing something for the government. So yeah, I literally stayed up 48 hours, made all the patterns, made all blueprints, came to 40 different parts for the Humvees. And it was General Dynamics was the company that approached us to do it. So we did that and shipped it out to New York. They loved it. They made 40 sets and sent them to Iraq.
Oh, wow.
What the problem was, the armored up Humvees, the level 3 Humvees, were in Dubai, and they weren't going to be there for months, so they had to have these unprotected Humvees, so they needed something they could fit in the field. And they were apparently very effective. One was hit by an IED. Everyone survived.
Wow.
They had light sunburns, but
yeah.
We actually did have a videotape of the explosion, and it literally lifted that Humvee up at least 10 feet off the ground.
Oh, wow.
And they all survived. So I was very, very proud of that work we did. So costuming, makeup, and props, not the only thing we do. We've done other projects. We did a multi-threat detection X-ray machine.
Oh, wow.
Which looked like a spaceship. The thing is supposed to be portable, but they have one now in the Statue of Liberty to screen people, and it was also used at the World Cup when they had it down in Brazil.
Wow.
And that was again one of those projects where the lab is down here in Palo Alto. They contacted me, hey, we need this prototype. Everyone else has turned us down. We need this model built. It was what you call a study model, where you build it, and then as you're building it, you're studying, oh, we'll put this component here, we'll put this component there. So they need a full-scale model that they could do this with. So they were actually sending me the plans as they designed it, and as I would get those emails, I would build whatever part of the X-ray machine assembly. Wow. It actually caught a terrorist in Florida Disneyland about 2 years ago. A guy tried to come in there to happiest place in the world with a suitcase full of guns. And,
oh my.
The great thing about this portable detector is what you do is whatever bag, you just put it in the machine and it x-rays it. And it doesn't only check for, like, there's guns, but it has chemical weapons, radiation, whatever. Now if there's something wrong with this, it locks it in so they can't get it out. Oh. And they usually have security people there, but it can run remotely. It was originally designed, the idea was they were going to use it in the green zone in Iraq for screening stuff, but the government never picked it up. But they are using, like I said, the Statue of Liberty has one permanently. Disneyland, that was the Paris Disneyland, has that one. They had it at the World Cup. So they're getting more and more out there. But that was another project that really where we took kind of sci-fi and brought it to life and actually using it in the real world.
For a real purpose.
Yeah.
So if you want some props, the Bronze Armory can make them, or if you're a government company or any type of business, the Bronze Armory can come up with ideas and make them come to life and actually work. Just our mind's been blown that you not only create actual props and costumes, but so much more. Let's go check out another one and see what else you have.
Absolutely.
Alan, I'm looking at the details of this Doctor Strange and just amazed from head to toe, all of the details in leather, and I'm sure this probably took you tons of hours. Kind of go through what materials did you use and how you made it?
Well, these are all natural fibers. This is all heavy cottons and linens, and to give it a realistic look, they'll see costumes on television, movie, and they just think they look natural for some reason. It doesn't look like the clothes or costumes you'd wear for Halloween.
Yeah.
Well, there's a process to that, and we work with a lot of talented people. I want to give a shout out to Margot Brown and her crew at Universal because they assist us on this stuff. They do all our aging and things. So once I create a costume, get everything down, we'll talk about how we're going to age it, what we're going to do. Some of the stuff we do at the studio, some of the stuff I'll send down to LA to Universal, and they'll take and age it. Wow. What we did with this is we start with stone washing. Stone washing, the same as you age your jeans. You know, you hear stone wash jeans, what does that mean? Well, it's just like polishing brass if you're into reloading ammunition. You have different types of aggregate, like rocks, stone, literally stones, a little gravel, and it agitates the fabric and makes it softer, ages it, scores it. And you can go from just a subtle lived-in look to blowing up and destroyed look. Oh. This was a medium stone wash. I think we put it through 3 times, and then it had some different dye treatments, dye washes and stuff. And then we took and lightened this up here with some chemicals, some bleaches and stuff to give it more, like it's losing its color.
Texture pop.
Different things. And then this was some more dyes. You see some rust, some reds in here, as if with clothing, you know, when it gets really, really old, starts to lose some of its color, perspiration changes the color and everything. Well, that's the effect we have in here. So there's a lot that goes into it, and always use all these props, the leather and the weaving, all from scratch. This is all real leather.
Oh, wow.
Did all the copper pieces by hand. It's all cut copper. And then we take and go over, it's called copper topper. It's a chemical that ages the copper to make it look like it's been used. And again, with sandpapers and abrasions, you can take and make it look old. To get the same exact type of weave, I had to weave this by hand.
Oh, wow.
And we'll be bringing pictures showing how that I wove that, but because there was a lot of times when people are doing costumes for a film or something, they'll do what we call off the rack. They just buy something, hey, we got these, we got a lot of these, we're just going to use that. Well, movie was 3-4 years ago. They don't have that anymore. Your chance to find it aren't real good. So it's much tougher to remake it, particularly for, you'll see in the Captain Americas, every time you look at it, you see the leathers look different.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because they have to change it because they don't have the old leathers, they're worn out, or so they have to remake them. The color's not quite the same. So those are all, when you're doing it for a museum or something, you want to get exactly what they had in the films. So you might have to do something like I did on here, weaving that all by hand. Yeah. Same with the boots. These were a particular type of boot. They don't have them anymore.
Oh, really?
So I had to do all the leather from scratch. All the ankle guards, new tongues, the stitching on the toes. They're all add-ons and stuff to give it the exact same look as the original piece had.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of stuff. Much harder if you're doing something for the first time, creating a new character. No one knows what that character should or is supposed to look like. So it's easy, you know, to make something. All the Batman movies, they change the costume each time, different costume. So no one knows, like, well, we're not comparing it to the costume we wore last time, it's all new. Well, if you have to have, like Doctor Strange, has been in his own movie, now he's in Infinity Wars, has the same costume in Infinity Wars he had in his last movie. Well, you gotta get that exact. You gotta get that same thing, the same colors and everything. And the colors you see on the movie are not the same colors you're going to see in person. If this is shot under hot lights, and I'm sure when you're filming this here, this is going to look a lot lighter on your film than it does in person because of the lights. You figure 2 or 3 stops up brighter than what you're going to make it. So you need to account for that as well.
Yeah.
With this, to give it a little bit of flair, I also sculpted a Doctor Strange, head to go with it. It didn't look right with just a plain old
mannequin head.
Egghead thing on there. So gave a little Doctor Strange on that.
Well, from all the pieces, from literally head to toe, and the sling ring and the Eye of Agamotto and the cape and everything, I mean, this thing just stands out. Behind it, you have is that the Sanctum logo?
Yeah, the Sanctum window. Really need that to really make the whole display pop. We're trying to, with these museum exhibits, we want to put you in the moment. You know, and had to have that. So literally we built this the night before. And got it up here. It was a little bit easier than what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Sometimes you luck out, and but this is one of my favorites here in the exhibit.
Well, you did a good job. It looks aged. It looks used. He looks like he's present and he's here. Let's go look at some more of the heavy hitters. We still got Iron Man. We still got Captain America. Let's go take a look at those.
Sure.
Guys. Now, Alan, the Marvel Universe and Avengers wouldn't be complete without our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and you guys have done a fantastic job. You were just telling me you've done everything from the cloth and also all the accessories and the lenses. Walk us through what you have here, how you built it, and how this came to be.
Well, one of the challenges with the Iron Spider costume, for like a lot of the things that are going on in the movie today, there is no Iron Spider costume.
Yeah.
It's green screen. He's just running around in a green leotard.
If we wanted an accurate Spider-Man costume, it would be all the dots and that would be inaccurate.
Yeah, there's no real Iron Spider costume. So I thought, well, we gotta have it at the show. We gotta make something.
Yeah.
So it started with basically a template, sublimation print template. Added all the elements I wanted to the template. Then I had to create all these metal overlays, because the idea of the Iron Spider costume is Tony Stark built it for him, and it's kind of like if Iron Man and Spider-Man had a baby, because the suit's supposed to be like a mesh metal, and all metallic. In the early Iron Man comics back in the 60s and 70s, his suit was described as a chainmail mesh.
Oh, really?
It wasn't like plated armor. It was like a body stocking made out of a mesh chain that you could wear. Well, that's the Iron Spider costume is like that. Oh. And since that doesn't exist, we had to make it. So it started with the template, put that together. Then I started making molds of all the pieces I was going to add. And again, this is all flexible urethane. We add different metallic pigments to the mold itself, and then pour the urethane into it, and when it comes out, it looks just like metal. And then we have a special urethane glue. It's a 2-part glue, and that's like surgery. Because it's only good for about 10 minutes or so. You mix up just 2 ounces, and you have a fine brush, and you're painting it, gluing, painting, pinning, and gluing. And it takes an enormous amount of time. Last year we did a copy of Henry Cavill's Superman suit. It has all this veining. You're turning the mannequin, you're pinning and gluing and pinning and gluing, you run out of glue, more glue, pin and glue. Same thing with this. All had to be cut and measured. Okay, we'll put this here, we'll put that there. Everything's got to fit on the pattern. So
probably have a big trash pile of things you tried.
Absolutely, absolutely. You start with a tracing, and you go, okay. You cut out a template, okay, that looks good, and then you go to molding it. All these pieces were originally cut out of thin styrene, about 2 millimeter styrene, and they make a mold of that, and so you just have a flat mold, big flat mold, and you pour the urethane in that, and you peel it out, and this is what you get these appliques.
Wow.
The lenses are just mirrored styrene, just cut it, and then this is urethane, the lens around it, and again, it's glued on with that urethane glue, and that's a like two-way mirror, which is exactly what has always been described in the books. I've seen a lot of in the movies, different lenses with like bug,
The hexagon mesh
stuff. In the comic books from very early on, it was described as a two-way mirror type system. There's in the Marvel Universe catalog describing all the different superheroes from A to Z, they highlight the eye as being two-way mirror, lens.
So is this mimicking that, or is it
Yes.
actual?
No, it's actual two-way. You can see that. Yeah,
You can see, you just can't see in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can kind of feel it's very lightweight. It's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's. So you can just pull that mask on and look right out there, and no one can see it, and it gives you very good visibility. I've seen some in the TV show. They actually had little holes drilled all through it. It's like looking through a strainer, and very, very bad vision. And any of these things with the meshes.
This is more like wearing sunglasses or something.
This is exactly like wearing sunglasses.
Gotcha.
Exactly like wearing mirrored sunglasses. No difference at all.
Well, we got Iron Spider here. Let's go look at the manufacturer, who is Iron Man, who helped this guy out. Let's go
Absolutely.
take a look at the Iron Man suit.
Great.
All right, Alan, we're looking here at an actual screen-used prop that you had made, right?
Yes.
And when they asked you to build this, they probably gave you a nice book of references and images that you needed to do. Is that correct?
No, I wish. We were working with Stan Winston Studios down south. Very nice crew and everything, and we had one part. We'd done some post-production work with Iron Man 1. We were going to do some stuff for Downey Jr. To some autograph pieces later on, and that's how we got involved in the project. With Iron Man 2, we had this one screen use piece. The idea in the original script was that Rhodey steals the Mark III Iron Man, Tony Stark's real Iron Man 3 suit. Later on, it changed to the Mark II, which we had to redo this all in silver and stuff. But people think you get a drawing. No, this is what we got. This is a rendering that we got, and they said, build this.
Oh yeah.
So, no 3D printing. This is all from scratch. Over 300 pieces.
Wow.
Put this together, I'd say, hour-wise, probably 4 weeks. Physically, 6 weeks.
Oh wow.
To put.
Looks
But
like a lot of is it designer resin?
it's all designer resin. These are the final parts. Some of these started out as wood. Some of these started out as styrofoam, modeling styrofoam. Some of them started out as styrene. And some of them just start out as raw resin. All these plates, I made templates for the plates and then poured raw resin, put the template on the resin, cut the resin, heated it, bent it, and glued it together to make the plates. Basically like making a suit, literally a suit of armor.
Yeah.
We got this rendering and another little detailed rendering of this section here. And doing this, I had taken, everything has to be mirrored back and forth. And also on a piece like this, you have to consider the tolerances, because you don't have any measurements. So you're doing things to scale. Okay, if the arc is 4.5 inches, then this must be this much, and it's all got to fit on a body or look like it'll
Yeah,
fit
they're
on
not
a
giving
body.
you exact measurements at all. They're just giving you an idea.
I expect a blueprint like this. Now you get this.
Yeah.
And today, more and more stuff is being jobbed out, and you'll have a large company will go like, okay, we'll do some of this stuff in studio, some of this we'll farm out, and bits and pieces made all over. But this scene in the movie for about 30 seconds.
So the 6 weeks you did this is on screen for about 30 seconds.
If that much.
Yeah.
I watched the movie again. It's Iron Man 2. I watched it again the other night, and it's on and off. They pan down to it and pan up, and it's it. It's very, very, very short. But it's one of the pieces everyone likes. We're going to be later, as I was sharing this summer, we're going to be doing more and more of these pieces. We're going to be bringing in more and more of the Pantheon of Heroes, and we're going to do the Mark 50 and have that here as well. That's the new armor that's in the Infinity Wars one. Oh, wow. That'll be later in the summer. So it's exciting for people to come back. If you think you've seen the show once, come out here and see it. No, you haven't, because we're going to bring it. Like I was sharing, we're doing Black Panther, we're going to have Ant-Man, we're going to have Black Widow, we're going to have the Mark 50, we're going to have more props bringing in. So we're going to have something, coming every couple weeks here in the museum.
So it ends October, right?
Technically, it's supposed to end the end of October. This is our 5th or 6th show we've done here at the museum. We did Superman's 75th anniversary. We had a lot of stuff from the movies in Smallville. We've done a Captain America show with all these different Captain America props. And all those shows were extended, and all of them went a year. So this might go beyond.
If someone comes 1 month, they come in a couple months later, they're going to see something.
They're going to see something different, something new.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's go take a look at the Captain America. You got a couple of them, so let's go take a look at those.
Okay.
Now, Alan, with the Avengers Infinity War wouldn't be complete without Captain America himself. And right here you have kind of the suit that's very weathered. Obviously, Captain America's been gone for a while. We don't know exactly what he's went through, but here you've kind of demonstrated how he's gone through a lot and his suit has been weathered. Tell us what you got here.
Well, this is actually a work in progress. As I was sharing, we're going to be bringing new heroes every few weeks here to the museum and putting them on display. This is the new Infinity Wars Captain America suit. This comes off the Civil War suit, and he's out in the jungles of Wakanda, and the suit is very weathered and stuff. So we're putting that all together. It's a work in progress. So fans, when you say, "Oh, aren't the right buckles?" I know those aren't the right buckles.
They're coming.
Yeah, we put this together today to show you, what we're doing, how we build these things, and how we put them together. We'll be changing these buckles out. We're building the proper buckles. Back in the old days, you had to rely on drawings, whatever. Today, we can just go on the internet and get all the reference pictures we want for a film shoot. You can see these buckles are round, they're segmented, and we're building those now. They'll go on here. There'll be a spacer in between that the leather will go through. We'll also be changing this out, putting suede in here. We'll be weathering that. These are just place savers for right now from the mold. What we'll be doing is we have an insert that will be wrapped in the same Cordura. This is a 500 denier Cordura nylon, and we'll be wrapping that, and then it'll have a gasket around that, and that's what will go on here. It'll have that whole weathered look. But so these we just put on there from the mold just to, as place savers basically.
And are these some of the molds that you use in here for looks like the buckle pieces?
Yeah, let me turn him around real quick, show you an example. We just made this buckle. I did this buckle last night. People often, how do you do this? This is just cut originally. Now it's resin, but last night I made that out of EVA foam and styrene.
Yeah.
I made the master. And then you pour silicone over that master. You can see the separate pieces here. And you let the silicone, I accelerated the silicone's curing by humidifying it. Oh. If it's under high humidity, the silicone will cure faster. I knew I needed it right away to make this. So I accelerated that, and then you pour our designer resin in these molds with metallic powders, and then glue it together, and you're good to go.
And it's got a great texture there too, and it came off great from the mold right onto the actual piece.
Yeah, it makes it look, looks like steel. People look at this, or they look at Iron Man, and they think it's real metal. And I'm going, no, it's just movie stuff. I get people all the time, would that support a real shield? we worked with the shield. We didn't do the shield for the first Captain America, but we did do the strapping, and that shield weighs 25 pounds.
Oh,
it's
wow.
aluminum, but it's 25 pounds. And no, this is just resin. That's not going to hold a 25-pound shield. But with the new rig, there's cords that come back here, and the shield's supposed to lock into this harness setup. But so we're going to roll this one out. We'll finish him up in the next 3-4 days, and we'll have him on display here, the full costume with his new shields here at the Cartoon Art Museum.
Which you have also a work in progress of his new shields, the vibranium ones.
Yes, the from Wakanda, the new vibranium shield. This is our first pull out of the mold. We'll be, painting this, making it look again like metal, distressed, and we're going to do the inside, which we're not going to reveal today. We're going to do the inside screen accurate, which people haven't seen. You see for a flash in the movie for a second, but we've got the plans for that. We're going to be putting screen accurate interiors, and also we're going to have mounts so you can mount this on the wall with a shield symbol and stuff. And we'll have him with 2 of them when he's here at the museum. And I know you'll want to talk more about this later on. Here, I showed you the buckles for the harness. Here's the buckle we're making for the belt now. We still have a little more work to do on this. And again, this is wood. This part here, this is wood. This is styrene. This is just cut styrene. And we'll take, like this silicone here, we'll make a 2-part silicone mold of this and then reproduce in the resin with the metallic powders, and it'll look just like a steel buckle now go on his belt there. Oh, we still have some details to do here. We got another line to put here and some little 2 little dents in there. But people look at it and they'll go like it looks like steel, and that's the idea. It's supposed to. So
that's what you do as the prop makers. You gotta make it look like it, and also make it lightweight so the actor's not being weighed down.
That's a very important point. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people don't realize that. We get asked all the time, can you make me a metal batarang? I have a sonar batarang from the Val Kilmer movie. You see at the end where he throws it at the Riddler's brain machine.
Oh yeah.
Warner Brothers, as a limited collectible, did a few of those in metal. I have one. They weighs like 30 pounds.
Oh wow.
I mean, it is, if you threw that, you would stop a car with that. So no, you don't want your actors hurt. So particularly the stunt actors, most of their stuff is urethane. It's the shields, most of the time if you see either Chris or the stunt person running around with the shield on his back, it's rubber. It's a urethane rubber shield. There were a couple of Chevron shields made in the first Avenger that were metallic, that you could snap to your back. But just a Chevron shield, but it was very thin, very lightweight.
Oh really?
One of those 25-pound shields, no, that is not gonna.
When you're filming a movie for months and months, you don't want to fatigue your actors.
Well, there's no need. Yeah. There's no need. You can stop the camera. You can glue something together. You don't want him to be running and then the shield fall off on the ground. Yeah. It's going to be on there. It's going to stay on there. And if something does happen, you don't want a metal buckle flying off and cutting your actor's face or anything like that. So it's mostly rubber. This suit, again, it's Cordura. Now, we were talking about the Doctor Strange and how we stonewashed that one. This one, we actually aged it with enzymes. It's a chemical bath, and it softens. This is a 500 denier Cordura nylon. It's same thing they make military uniforms out of. But if we put that through a stonewash, it would damage it too badly. If we wanted him to look like an explosion, we put it through there and do that. But after that, Margot and her team, they go over it, after the enzyme bath, they went over it with museum wax, which is what I describe as grease paint for costumes. You have a palette of different colored waxes, and you use that for aging purposes, and it rubs onto the clothing, and it's going to be rubbed and brushed on, and it's an art. You're taking different colors and putting it around to make it look like it looks natural. Yeah, I mean, you look at this and you think, if you saw this in a trunk, you think, oh, it must have been there.
What has he been through?
Yeah. But that's just a technique. If you would have seen this costume a couple weeks ago, it looked,
brand new.
Yeah, looked great. Brand now it looks real. And once we'll be doing the same thing with the leathers. We'll be aging the leathers and stuff, and it'll look very natural. But it'll be on display here in the next week or so.
So we have our weathered Captain America. We take a look at the first Avenger Captain America.
Absolutely, that's everyone's favorite.
Alan, we have the first Avenger costume here. What went into this, and from head to toe to weathering, all that's included here?
Well, this is everybody's favorite, first Avenger. This is all leather. Again, we stone-washed this. We could really hit this one a lot because it's a very durable suit. The helmet is urethane. That's the part we designed, and the helmets after the first one, we went to resins. But this first one, we had a learning curve. It had to fit snug on the head, so we thought urethane, that's the way to go. Later on, we went to resins, but this first one was urethane.
Now the helmet itself, you were asked to design that for the movie.
Yeah, I was working at George Lucas's ranch. We were in the archives there. We were preserving and reproducing two of the only totally surviving hero stormtrooper costumes worn by Harrison Ford and Luke. Mark Hamill, and I got a call from another film subcontractor. Said, hey, we got this deal with Sony, they're piecing it out, we'd like you to do the helmet. I go, oh, that'd be great. Yeah, Captain America. I said, send me some pictures.
They probably gave you a lot of pictures.
They gave me literally a clip from a comic book. Literally, they said, yeah, here we go. Yeah, I know what Captain America looks like. Okay. So we were really left, and that's interesting about film. Again, there's not a direct line that you got one person doing this and this and this like in the old days. There's no Edith Head who's sitting at a sewing machine sewing something. Even Edith Head didn't sew her own things. Did back in the day, but later on she had a studio and people working for her, and it's the same thing today. You might get pieces from literally all over the world. Different people doing different projects and stuff, and that's the same on Apocalypse. They had 15,000 people on that film, and people all over the world, people that never even met each other, and beyond that 15,000, there were probably indirectly another 60,000 that had a part or did something for the film, and they may not even have known it. They would just subcontract, hey, make us this, make us that.
So the one in the movie is the one that you designed?
Yeah, that was the on First Avenger.
Yeah.
Interesting story. Learned when I was working at Lucas about the Stormtrooper stuff. Everyone goes, oh, what a brilliant design! George created these. No, George didn't create it. Guy in London was working at Pinewood Studios, and they were talking about filming Star Wars, and they were talking about designs and costumes and stuff. And so they needed some armor built for the Stormtroopers. Well, in England, it's all union help. And you've got to use 80% union. You can't do it yourself. You've got to use their guys. And this was back in the 70s, and they literally built their armor out of plaster.
Oh, wow.
And that's how they did for Knights at Armor and stuff, on the BBC. And they're making these plaster, and they go like, this is totally unusable. We cannot wear these plaster, armor suits. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So one of the guys working for George says, hey, I know a guy who does kit cars, and he's got vacuum form stuff. I wonder if he can do something. So a lady, and her name escapes me, designed the helmets, and he took the design to his friend who was working out of his house, vacuum form. He was making vacuum form dashes for kit cars. And he says, hey, can you make me one of these and one of these? And he showed him the pictures. He goes like, yeah. Well, the guy's thinking he's building these for his kids for Halloween. So he makes him one, makes him another. Oh, these are great. He hasn't heard from him for 2 years. And he comes back and goes, hey, can you make me 30 of these and 30 of these? Well, I thought those were for your kids. No, we're doing a movie. This is going to be Star Wars. We need all this. Oh, okay. So he's making this stuff in his house with his vacuum form machine. He leaves one day, leaves the vacuum form machine on. It's got all these styrene scraps, burns the house down to the ground. Oh. And everyone felt really bad. Oh, we're so sorry you burned your house down to the ground. So they gave him a little corner at Pinewood Studios to finish work. Didn't give him a new house, but they did give him a little place to work, and he finished the project. But he had no idea that when he made the first two that these were going to be iconic pieces or used for a film. Had no idea. Yeah. And that's very, very common in film and television.
The stories that we love have a story behind them. Every little piece.
Yeah. They do. They absolutely do. But this is one of the favorites, and I really liked how it all came together because it made sense. You have real battle strapping in here, things that would be physically used. This is a grenade belt, is what this is. That's why I put grenades on it. People didn't know what these hooks were for. I said on a real suit, that's where you would put your grenades. And this is an ammo pouch that you see him wearing, but you never see him take anything out, so you don't know what it's for. But that would have been for ammo for his 45 or his Thompson that he carries briefly in the movie. So,
which, if he was going to make his costume out of whatever he had, he would probably use some of these. Yeah, this
is practical. He really gave a nod to the red, white, and blue striping. Yeah. Without it making it look corny. Yeah. This looks like, this fits together good. And the idea with the helmet was something between a motorcycle helmet and paratrooper helmet. They want something like that, like the old. My impression was like the old aviator World War I helmets that the fighter pilots wore. That's the idea. They wore, I believe it was the Rangers. One of the paratroopers wore similar protective helmets in training, and so those are where all the ideas, because everything has to fit together. That's another thing. It's really amazing that films come together like they do, because you got all these disparate things all over the country, all over the world. Everyone's doing their thing, but it's all going to come together and fit and look like seamless, like it's all done
in the same world.
We're in the same world by the same people, and honestly, a lot of stuff ends up on the cutting room floor that you don't see. Some things are really good that they leave out. Other things are like, I'm glad they left that out. It really comes together at the end, and people don't realize how long it takes to make movies. The 89 Batman movie, 10 years. They started pre-production right after Christopher Reeve's first Superman movie.
Oh, wow.
A decade later, they had the movie.
Oh, wow.
So you're talking about people that spent a decade, some other people came and went, but there were some people that worked a decade before that movie ever came out.
Wow.
In one capacity. Another good example was the Superman movie that was never made by Tim Burton. There's a great documentary on that. And that went around for years, and people were hired and people were fired.
That was going to star Nicolas Cage, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. And Bryan Singer, when he did do the Brandon Routh one, he used to talk to him about there'd be disputes about what the costume should look like, stuff, and he'd show him this quick snapshot they did of Nicolas Cage in one of the test Superman suits. Says, you were going to do this. And he just showed this picture of Nicolas Cage with long hair. And to be honest, that was not going to be, that was just a trial suit. They did that in a hotel room. It was a quick shot. He was actually looking down when they took it. They were just a random shot, and that picture survived.
That's the one.
I've seen the picture in the full-on Nicolas Cage Superman suit, which looked fairly good.
Yeah.
And his hair was short, no, not the long hair. They didn't go with that. They didn't go with the crazy ass. It was a more typical ass. It looked kind of like the '89 Batman suit, only Superman. The same sculptor. Bob Ringwood was the one who did that. Bob Ringwood had always done fabric, soft good, like Excalibur, worked on Excalibur, later worked on Troy. But he had never done a rubber suit, and that's what it was the Michael Keaton Batman called for. I had no idea. They were like, well, how do we do this? And they really learned from scratch making that, and there were a lot of changes. And by the time it got to Clooney, they had really got their process dialed in, and really everybody in the industry learned from that. There was a big learning curve, and a lot of things that they did are still in use today, how they built those costumes, and they've gone to, they're still being used a lot of times in superhero costumes. Although today we are going to lighter weight stuff, like the Henry Cavill suit. Although the Ben Affleck Batman suit, he has a muscle suit underneath, a very hefty muscle suit. Yeah. The actual costume itself is very lightweight. It's very thin. It allows you to move much more comfortable for the actor. Literally, I've had the opportunity to look at 2 of the screen used 89 and 92 Batman costumes. That cape, I literally, it would crush you.
It's made out of real...
It's made out of, there were areas of that cape, where I kid you not, were a half-inch thick latex. That thing, in Japan, when they do the Godzilla suits, they actually string the actor up. His suit is wired to the ceiling like a puppet because it's so heavy.
Oh, wow.
That's what this cape was. It would crush a person. I can't imagine anybody, because I had heard, they were horrible.
You kind of have to be a superhero in order to lift the actual costume.
Well, he was only on screen for 10 minutes, the entire picture, actually in the entire suit.
Oh, really?
All the rest is stunt guys.
Wow.
Yeah. So very, very little. And I wouldn't want to get him mad at me, but Mr. Downey, he said the first day, I'm gonna wear the suit every day. I'm gonna wear it every day. He wore it one day. And I don't blame him. I've been in that suit, and you couldn't get me. You couldn't pay me to get in that suit.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's imagine getting into a tight Tupperware container, turning it up to
wearing
heat.
it all day.
Oh, it's just horrible. You couldn't sit down in it, so the stunt guys had a little A-frame that they would lower them down on a mattress so they could take a break, and someone would come over and squirt water in their mouth, so they could, because it just, now they're wearing more and more like Thor Dark World. They had water jackets underneath, and on these heavy costumes, we always wear some type of cooling jacket because they're just they're horrible.
Oh, wow.
And on set, you can wear the water-cooled jackets, which are really nice. But they weigh 18 pounds because there's 2 gallons of water in them, and they're attached to a cord, which has
cooling you down,
cooling it, circulating the water, keeping it cool. Keeps it very, very cool under those hot lights. Because if you just put this on now, you would start sweating immediately, and then you get under these really, really hot lights. Then you're doing stunts.
Moving around.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Boy, I tell you, bringing those characters alive through the costumes and stuff. This first Avengers costume just looks amazing, and you do want to strap it on, but you don't understand what comes with that. Alan, these costumes have been amazing. Let's go wrap it up. Tell everybody, how they can learn more. Then also come see these. Let's go wrap it up over where we began.
Sure.
Alan, thanks for the tour. That was awesome. All these items are just such amazing. You get up close, so much detail here at the San Francisco Cartoon Art Museum. This is what we saw today. This is May. What can we see in the future, and is it gonna, how long is it gonna be going until? How can people come and see these things?
Well, the Cartoon Art Museum is located at 781 Beach Street in Ghirardelli Square. Beautiful location. The museum's open every day but Wednesday from 11 to 5 p.m. And this exhibit, the Pantheon of Heroes, is going to be going on at least through October. And we're going to be refreshing it, adding new characters, new heroes every couple of weeks to it. So don't think because you've seen it once that you've seen everything, because we're going to be bringing more, and there'll be something new to see every time you come in.
And some of these items, and you have other items and props that you sell as well, and our viewers can go and order those items as well.
Yes, in fact, we have an online store at Etsy where we have props and costume accessories and stuff. But we also sell to retailers, other like Monsters in Motion, which is monstersinmotion.com. We have a lot of our products on there, and we're going to be selling some stuff here in the gift shop at the museum as well. So, and then there are a lot of other online stores that buy our stuff wholesale and sell it again. So you can find us all over the internet.
Very cool. If you guys want to come see the man, the myth, and the legend, come down here to San Francisco, and then go order some of the props yourself. You're going to be so excited after seeing some of these things. You want to get some of them yourself on the Etsy page, or the different ways to distribute these. The Bronze Armory. You're going to want to get some of their products. Alan, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure coming down and actually finding and meeting you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And remember, the ultimate giveaway for our season finale is the blank Captain America shield from Smitty Tut Designs that's made of aircraft-grade aluminum metal. And there's an added bonus that we'll reveal in the last episode of the season. In the meantime, check out SmittyTutDesigns.com.
And remember to check out the Geekery Review for the best geek news. And we'll see you next time on the Geekery Review.
Game Changers is a store owned and run by geeks. We have some of the best collections in Utah, either working for us or shopping with us. We carry everything from old Atari, occasionally a little older than that, up through Xbox One, PS4, and then everything in between. We buy, sell, and trade, and we give better trade values than I think most places in town. I recommend bringing it in here, let us take a look, we'll appraise it, and we'll get you a fair number for it. Really, if it's video game related, we'll take it and we'll sell it. If you've got an opinion about a game, guarantee we do too.
I'm Bill Rogers, and you're watching the Geekery Review, where we show off the best geek products, then give them away on social media. There's nothing here. We forgot the products. On today's episode of the Geekery Review, we have a great product. No, we don't.